¿Qué hay, corillo? Bienvenidos nuevamente a mi canal. Yo soy Ecast, the producer, y hoy tenemos una serie nueva que viene al canal que se llama Ecast, Exclusive Chats and Studio Tracks. Pero antes de, recuerden suscribirse al canal, darle like, compártelo y deja tus comentarios y dale apoyo a esto que viene en grande. ¿Qué es Ecast? Para que sepan. Básicamente, esta nueva serie va a ser una sesión donde voy a presentarle la jornada de los artistas que están creciendo en California. So, join the journey. This is going to be in English. So, all right, we're going to switch it a little bit. So, today we have Mr. East Lake Boy himself. Danny V. Let's give it up. Let's give it up, people. What's
Hola.
up, my bro?
¿Cómo andas?
Todo bien, bro?
Todo bien?
Welcome to Ecast Music Group, bro.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Nah, man, I'm super happy and excited to have you here, bro. It's been, bro, I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. because
Don't be nervous.
Bro, it just gotta happen, because if you never get nervous, that means something's not right. So we're on a good vibe right now.
That's true.
And I've been just hoping for this interview for a minute, and I'm just very happy that you're here, bro.
Yeah.
How you been feeling, man?
I've been feeling good, man. Honestly, just finished up this latest project with my boy R Soul from the Underdogs called Life Lessons 2. Been dropping a single every 2 weeks this whole summer.
Bruh.
Just finished doing another interview before I got here.
Whoa,
in
man.
Castroville. So
Talk about the hustle and grind, bro.
yeah, man. It don't stop.
It don't stop. It don't stop, man. It
Just the
don't
beginning.
stop. Bro, let's go back. Let's go
Yeah.
back a little bit, you know. Let's take our audience into a journey of who is Danny V. Tell us about that spark and what interests you at the beginning about creating music, and how did you begin that journey?
Right. So it's a story I tell very often, honestly. The whole musical journey really starts back when I was about a sophomore in high school, right? So at the time, I was always interested in learning how to play the keys and the piano.
Okay.
But I was also interested in how to make beats. So I was like, before I make beats, I kind of want to learn the fundamentals of how to create a chord progression,
Right.
and what an A minor is and what a C major is, and how to play that in the, in the keys.
Right.
So I had asked my parents at the time for Christmas for a keyboard, right? So they got me one. It was the winter of my sophomore year, and I was just watching a bunch of YouTube tutorials, how to play this song, how to play this Wiz Khalifa song, or how to play this Alicia Keys song, and I kind of just really kept on trying to not necessarily perfect it, but just learn my way around the keys,
Okay.
So once I got to that point of learning the keys, I was like, okay, I kind of understand the basic concepts of melodies and chords. I feel like I can work my way up to making beats. Obviously, at the time, I was in high school. I didn't have a job. My sister had a computer. She had this MacBook. And what I would do is I downloaded GarageBand.
Of course.
Yeah,
nice,
GarageBand. Bro. GarageBand, that's the starter for everyone. I think
Yeah.
that makes anyone that makes music
For sure.
started there at some point. So I was making these like whack beats on like GarageBand. I was using the loops that came with GarageBand and making my own melodies. And then eventually I was like, all right, I need to work my way up to like FL Studio, right? So shortly after that, I got FL Studio, and I was running it through my pop's computer. I was just trying to see whose computer I can grab and like just download the software.
Snatch it.
Yeah, like this is mine now. So fast forward, I kind of dropped it for a little bit, maybe a couple of months, because when I was using the software, I felt like it was a little scary, like seeing all the buttons and all that little stuff. I was like, I don't even know what all this does. And at the time, I felt like I didn't have as much patience to sit down and try to learn it. You're in high school, you're going to school. I was playing sports, so I was doing all this and that. And then eventually, when we got to my senior year, they gave us these laptops. They're called these Chromebooks, right?
Oh, cool.
So every student in the high school in the district gets one. So my homie had told me about this software that you can download on the school computers to make beats.
What?
Yeah. But that obviously was not the reason why they gave us laptops.
Everybody trying to make beats now.
They gave us those laptops to like do our homework and write our papers and stuff. But me being me, you know, I had to look for some way to make beats on the laptop. So I started making beats in class again. You know, I kind of like rekindled that spark to make music, and I was making beats in the back of the class, just like vibing out. You know, the teacher was teaching, and I was just like in the back, like
kicking it. Oh yeah, teacher, keep talking.
Yeah. So pretty much after that, I finally graduated high school. I started getting better at making beats. You know, I started selling beats to artists kind of all over the country. I was selling beats to people in Atlanta, Chicago.
And this was all self-taught?
This was all self-taught.
Woo.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't take any classes. I mean, I was pretty much barely getting to like community college at this point. I was going to this college, Cabrillo College out in Aptos. Okay. And I took like one piano class, but I didn't really feel like I learned much. I took a production class. Same thing. I felt like I learned way more on YouTube just watching tutorials.
Yeah, YouTube. You see? I'm telling you. That's why y'all got to follow the channel, because I got some good tips.
YouTube, man. So, right. So I started selling these beats, and I was making, you know, a little bit of money, nothing too crazy. And eventually I transferred, and I went to the university out in San Jose, and I was living in San Jose, and I started producing for other artists out there. I was like, they were like, you know how to engineer vocals, or you know how to record. At the time, I didn't have any of the equipment. So I was like, I bought all the equipment, you know, cheap mic, the Scarlett 2i2. Starting to learn. So started recording artists out there. And I was engineering their vocals, you know, getting paid to do that. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, man, I could do it better than these guys. I was like, I was getting competitive. I was like, I just felt, I'm like, damn, they're not doing these beats justice.
Bro, I mean, if you did sports, you're always going to be a competitive guy. Yeah. So that's already ingrained in you already.
Yeah, facts. So I kind of started attempting to, you know, record music and just write. So at the time, I was listening to like a lot of reggaeton. I was listening to like a lot of Maluma at the time. So the first few songs that I was writing, they were all in Spanish. Like pure Spanish songs, right? But
cool fact.
Yeah, cool fact. A lot of people don't, I mean, my homies that I was playing music for in the beginning, they're like, oh, these songs are fire. But I didn't want to come into the music industry establishing myself as a reggaeton artist because I knew my Spanish was already choppy. And maybe I'm not regretful of it, but maybe I should have just continued to practice that as well as practicing my English songs.
Right.
But I wanted to get good at writing songs in English first. Because it's my, you know, it's my native language at this point.
Right.
Even though I grew up, you know, hearing my parents talk in Spanish. I mean, at school, that's all I was speaking English, right?
So tell me, tell everybody where you actually from and how does that surrounding form who you are now?
So I'm from Watsonville, California, right? But technically, I mean, I'm always repping East Lake. You know? That's East Lake. That's the neighborhood. You know, that's like the block.
Yeah,
that's where I grew up pretty much all my life. Is just, you know, since I was a little kid, and I feel like just running around playing in the neighborhood with all these other kids. I feel like this neighborhood has really just shaped me into the person I feel like I am. You know, just someone that's always striving to do more and be more for the community, you know?
Right.
Because I feel like being from Watsonville, like I said it at the event I was at, you know, the other day, I'm like, I feel like coming from a small town, no matter whether it's Watsonville or X small town, Greenfield, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are instantly going to treat you like the underdog.
Right.
You're not coming from the big city. You're not coming from LA. So it's like they instantly treat you like, oh, maybe this guy's not legit, or maybe this is all that he's gonna be. He's only gonna be the hometown hero.
Right.
But it's like, I want to be able to show people that it's possible to make it, you know, from that little hometown.
Right,
and that's pretty much been my objective, you know, and not just any hometown, but more so like mine. I want to be able to show creatives from my neighborhood that it's possible to, do something big and make sure that people around you are watching.
Yeah.
So that's why when I'm putting out music or just doing anything, I'm always looking for ways to incorporate, my community, whether they make music or they do videos or they do photography, graphic design. I'm always looking for ways.
Bro, I admire that for reals, because it's a huge statement that you make when you actually represent where you're from,
Yeah.
and actually represent it proud. And I feel identified with that because us as Puerto Ricans, me being a Puerto Rican, we're so proud of our flag. I mean, a lot of countries are. I know Mexicans are also super proud, but if you see a flag of a Puerto Rican anywhere, that is gonna start yelling "wepa" or whatever, and we are kind of bit of invasive in that sense. But I feel that, man, because it's that sense of pride, and once you make it, people was like, "Oh shit, he actually he made our place a place." You know what I'm saying? A place to be, an actual place to discover. Man, I went to Fruition for the show.
Yeah.
Which was super dope.
Yeah.
You had a kudo. You shared the space with Cabuasa.
Yeah.
Cabuasa. He's also an artist from
Watsonville.
Watsonville, which is a super funky guy. Y'all gotta listen to that music too. And I was really impressed by the town. I was like, man, I think it was like the second time that I had been there. And the first time was just driving by. And this time that I actually got a chance to look around, I was like, this is a cool town.
Yeah, it's a cool town,
town.
I feel, what I was saying earlier is just Watsonville generally is just agriculturally rich. The history in Watsonville is rich. If you look back at it, Watsonville is known for being, the number one agricultural supplier in the United States.
Wow.
For it being a small town, it provides a lot of just, food for like the surrounding communities.
Wow.
And vegetables and fruits, strawberries, lettuce, all that stuff. And a lot of people from Mexico immigrate to Watsonville. And that's where they work, and that's where they set their base. My parents came from a town in Mexico called Michoacán, Sinapecuaro. So what I said before in like interviews is a lot of people from that community come to Watsonville, and what they do is, in a sense, they make Watsonville almost like a small town of like Mexico.
Yeah, an extension.
An extension
of home.
An extension of home, exactly. So when you come to Watsonville, you get that little sense of almost being back in Mexico. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's really cool, bro. And going back to the music a little bit, man, how did music, how did R&B, hip hop, or what artists actually influence you really, that you think that is really ingrained in you?
I mean, the thing is, I feel like I listen to a lot of hip hop for sure, predominantly. I was asked this question before, and I was thinking about it too now. When I really look back at it and think about it, I remember I was initially introduced to hip hop because at the time I was listening to a lot of rock. In middle school, that's
Those who know me,
I was mainly listening to I would say mainstream, what you would consider like Linkin Park.
Oh, okay,
you know what I'm saying? And
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, exactly. And at the time, they had done a collab album with Jay-Z.
Okay.
It was like an MTV Unplugged special. So it was like a really cool mashup of hip hop and rock. So what they did basically is they mashed their like most popular songs.
Yeah.
Linkin Park and Jay-Z. And at the time, I thought it was dope because I was like, how often do you hear, a hip hop artist on like rock heavy, kind of drums and stuff. And I think the album for me, it just, in my ears, it meshed very well, but it was also kind of that bridge that introduced me to hip hop, through Jay-Z. But shortly after that, it was kind of more like that mixtape era. I was listening to a lot of Wiz Khalifa, Currency, Nipsey Hussle, like I be listening to like Dom Kennedy and shit. So it was like that mixtape era that I really, really grew up on. I mean,
Okay.
when I think about like the time that I actually started paying attention to music, I was like maybe an 8th grader to like sophomore year. Around that time, it was just like I would really say it was like those 5 artists, plus like maybe like Mac Miller, you know. So it was for someone like me who kind of makes, I would say a lot of times R&B. I'm still very much, you know, influenced by
By the
like
hip-hop.
hip hop community for
Which
sure.
actually turned 50 years last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hip hop
Happy
turned
birthday.
50 years. So happy birthday again,
Yeah.
actually. Man, that's actually really cool, because I can notice at least that influence really hard
Yeah.
when you come down with your writing.
Yeah,
So your
definitely.
writing is really good as well. And
Thank you, man.
bro, I like it. Let's talk about a breaking point, bro. And that breakout success with your song,
Yeah.
which was a collaboration with Still Searching on Toxic. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Toxic, man. I'll never forget. I love talking about that song. So that was really my first song that I ever released, you know, as an artist, right? So the whole history of that song is just really dope because Still Searching is a producer from Florida, you know, and I'm a producer from California, obviously. So the fact that we even made that bridge or just, you know, made the link up, he had hit me up on Twitter because I had posted this beat that went viral. I had sampled Lion King and I turned it into a beat.
Whoa,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So it went crazy on Twitter, and this was back when Twitter was like cool. And
Man, my bro Zoe would like
Yeah.
that. He's a Lion King fan.
Yeah.
I gotta look for that.
You could look for it on Twitter right now. It's I chopped up the sample on this part of Lion King and I like made it into a beat. Long story short, my homie from Florida, he DM'd me and he was like, "Yo, like I like your beat." And he's like, "Let's work." At the time, he thought I was already like a big producer, you know, but I was like, that was just that once, you know, hit that I had on Twitter. So we started making beats. We started sending each other samples and loops and drums. And eventually he sent me the beat for Toxic. And I turned it into a song. And I remember I played it on Instagram Live at the time. And he was just like, "Whoa," he's like, "This is crazy." And people were on my Instagram Live at the time. They just knew me as a producer. They're like, "Damn, this is crazy. You got to drop this." So like I kept on snippeting it, you know, when artists be snippeting songs, you're just like, all right, just drop it. So eventually he flew to California and like we didn't even know each other. We linked up and like it was like an instant click, you know, me and him, like just the chemistry we have when it comes to making music is just so smooth. And to this day he still produces for me. But came to the studio, we engineered the song, we dropped it, we had this whole rollout for it. Like it was just for it being my first single, the way that I rolled it out.
Did it the right way.
Yeah, like I'm thankful for the way that I set that up because I kind of used that blueprint and I kind of carried it with me and I used that. I didn't necessarily use the same formula, but as I kept dropping more songs, I kept on tweaking it and seeing like how I could roll out a song better. Because I feel like that's the whole thing that comes with singles. But anyways, I dropped the song and it was just getting thousands of streams, just like instantly, like
bro, in a week it got over 10,000 streams.
Yeah, in a week.
How did that feel, man?
I mean, it was cool at the time, like because I mean, this was kind of just generally across platforms, but it was a reassuring response, you know, from people because at the time I had been developing my music for a year, but then to drop a song and get that reassurance from people and that validation,
yeah.
You know, it feels good because you spent a lot of time on it, right? But, you know, as I kept dropping, because obviously you drop music and some songs are hotter than others, you know, some are not.
Yeah.
So it's like, initially I felt the pressure to continue that, like, that level of success.
Right.
So I kind of eventually stopped chasing the validation and the reassurance. But at the moment, for that being my first song and getting that instantly, I mean, I think it was what I needed to. I don't know where my like story or journey would have gone if maybe I didn't, you know.
Do you feel like it definitely changed your approach towards the industry per se or your vision?
It definitely, I mean, it just sparked that drive, I feel. hopefully I wasn't like, it wasn't like some sort of addiction where I was just like, damn, I like that feeling, so I'm gonna chase it now. Like,
yeah.
I try to stay away from that because you get to a point as a musician where maybe sometimes you feel like you're chasing that more than, you know, you're chasing
your passion.
a passion or making a
Yeah.
good song.
Right.
So now it's like, before I release a song, I'm like, all right, am I genuinely happy with this?
Right.
Or am I just doing this to like please some sort
Bro,
of
I
like
like that.
audience? You know
I
what I'm
like
saying?
that, man.
Yeah.
I like that approach because a lot of artists, and I've done met a lot of them that basically try to, no, I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this guy, and want to keep on searching that kind of clout, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be something they're not.
Yeah.
And it's kind of depressing because it's like,
is.
man, how are you really happy with what you're doing? You know, trying to do something that it's not you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, it's genuinely scary. The like, it's not necessarily a drug, but it could become like an addiction.
Oh, definitely.
You know,
I
like,
mean, dopamine, man.
It's a dopamine rush. Yeah, like,
Dopamine. It is. It is.
I'm just trying to get out of that. As much as I appreciate the love that I get from people, I try to, in a way, just disassociate myself from that, because you're gonna, if you really put too much energy on that, then like when your song flops or when you're not getting the same amount of love that you got before, you're gonna feel it, or like you're gonna get emotional about it, you know. And I don't want to let that. I don't want to ever get like feel emotional or let anything like guide my judge or like,
bro,
you know, cloud my judgment.
Bro, for reals, I give you a hand, man, because I felt it, and immediately as well, I had never seen a show before or seen you in person before until Friday.
For real?
When we did the fruition.
Wow.
And when you walked in and you say hi to everybody, I was like, wow, you know, this guy's connected with the people. You know, he has his feet on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And I saw it immediately. If I notice, a lot of people are gonna notice. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, I congratulate you for that.
Thank you, man.
And that's a really, really great thing to have as you keep on growing up, bro. Because that's what's gonna make you big, for real. I mean,
thank you, man.
This guy's already killing it, for real, bro. Bro, so talk to me about the Lost and Found EP and joining the collective of underdogs.
The underdogs. Bro. Oh man, you're a good interviewer, bro.
Oh, thanks.
It was one of the best. Like, I've done a lot of interviews. You're good, bro. But the Lost and Found, the EP. I love everything about that era. You know, when I made that, I think it's about a 6-piece little EP. At the time, I was really kind of had dropped a bunch of singles, right? Shortly after Toxic, it was just single after single, or I was doing a freestyle here and there. And I was like, all right, I think it's time to put a little bit of a body of work together, you know? So it really started off when I did this. I think the first single off of the Lost and Found EP was this one song called Daylight. And I had done it in this like scenic mountains. And that's kind of another like formula that I kind of carried on through the whole series of the Lost and Found singles, where I went out to these like beautiful spots in the nature and I just performed the song, you know, with a mic. It wasn't even on, you know, but we just overlaid the audio.
Yeah, that was dope though.
Yeah.
You can see it. I've seen a couple of the reels and it's like, man, where the hell did he plug the mic at?
Exactly. So we did that, and it was on Daylight. It's just like another one of those songs. I posted it on Twitter, I posted it on Instagram, and that was the song that the leader of the Underdogs, his name's Our Soul, he had seen it, and there's this local Instagram page here. It's called Central Coast Slaps, and they post all the, you know, the artists from the 831, right. and Thomas, who runs the account, he had posted it, and then Our Soul called him, and he's like, "Who's this guy, man? Like, I need him on the group." And pretty much Our Soul called me, and he's just like, "Man, I'm trying to get you on the Underdogs." So he got me on the Underdogs, and it was like perfect timing because I was finishing all the songs on the Lost and Found, and Our Soul had shot a lot of these visuals on the Lost and Found, and I think that these moments were just super pivotal in getting my name out there. You know, the songs were good, but the visuals, I think, is what brought me like to the public eye. I had dropped a visual for these songs called Fall Semester and Habibi. We shot them all in San Jose. And the whole project really just encapsulates me, leaving that school, like school, just the whole essence of being a student. Being a student, I feel that Lost and Found encapsulates me being a student and being in a relationship.
Okay.
Like I think when it comes to songwriting, I'm very genuine. Like at the time, that's just what was true to me,
Right.
Being a student and being in a relationship and trying to find the balance between those two things.
Do you feel like that was the point where you actually solidify your sound?
I would say definitely, yeah. It was really where I'm like, oh, okay, like I got something here. Like the whole project, if you listen to it, it just sounds very cohesive, from top to bottom. And not only that, I produced pretty much the whole thing. Like it was the first track. I think there was only one track on that I didn't produce, So the whole project to me sounds very cohesive. But after a couple of weeks passed or months passed, I kind of listened to it more like in a judgmental sense where I was like, okay, this sounds good. I've developed a sound, but how could I do more and be better?
Okay. So during that time frame, I believe probably shortly after you did the 45-day challenge.
So after that, technically it was the East Lake Boy, and then after the East Lake Boy, it was the 45-day challenge.
Okay, so we'll get to that. Let's talk about the East Lake Boy, bro. The East Lake Boy himself is here, though. Man, that album is dope. And man, Bleach Report, bro. I love that song. I love that song. I love the production. And it's like, I saw you breaking down the production on FL Studios.
Yeah.
And I was like, you see, people, you don't need all these gadgets. You don't need all this stuff. You'll get there, yes. But man, that was dope.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, so the East Lake Boy, that was what I would consider like the next era for me. I had just put out. So after the Lost and Found, I was like, all right, I'll give you guys some more singles, keep developing the sound. Eventually, I was like, okay, I need to give the people a full body of work, something that shows more of my versatility. Because I felt, like I said, the Lost and Found was very much like, it just, to me, the sound, it sounded very similar. And that's not bad because it was a cohesive project. But I was like, okay, how could I give more like rap, but also balance it out with like the singing version of me? So that's when I came up with the concept, the East Lake Boy. And that one was really just, I consider it more of like a love letter to Watsonville in a sense where when I was putting and rolling out the project, I was shooting all these visuals in Watsonville. I was doing this promo here, this promo there. Like it was just such a great rollout. And that's one thing about like when I drop music is I'm going to give you guys an experience. Yeah. Like I'm going to give you a little bit of an inside look into my world.
Right.
And that's what I felt the East Lake Boy was. It was a more matured version of me following the Lost and Found.
I'm sure it definitely resonated with a lot of the fans.
Yeah.
And basically it created obviously an awesome streamline for weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you talked about being the inspiration, that love letter to Watsonville.
Yeah.
But what other message did you try to convey with it? Because this song specifically, you performed it, Wine
and Charcuterie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, that was hard. That slapped for real. That was like, damn, this kid. Oh my God. I was excited for that.
I think it was more, what I was trying to convey was like, I'm here. I'm making a point. Like, I got something to prove. If I think about I'm thinking about the track list right now. I remember it was A Dream and then it was Wine and Charcuteries. So in A Dream, I'm talking about essentially my lifestyle and what I've been doing since the Lost and Found, which is I've been doing these shows. I'm talking about how I'm doing these shows and how I want to do these greater things and how I feel like people are doubting me, feel like I can't do it. And then Wine and Charcuteries kind of goes on to build on that.
Okay.
If you really pay attention to the verses, I really like it because I'm basically saying like, I'm talking my shit, but also telling you guys like I haven't made it yet.
Right.
Like I want to buy all these things for my friends. I don't have the money for it. The first verse essentially is me talking about, being able to like I said, just making this music and having the people support you, but not necessarily having the money. And then the second verse,
keeping it real, basically.
I go on to talk about what do I envision for my team in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the project kind of goes on, it's it's like telling the story, right? And then the second half flips into more of like the R&B stuff and the slow down stuff and something more, still kind of like talking my shit, but just more for like the ladies,
Yeah, no, point. Man, that track and the whole album is freaking fire.
Thank you, man.
Fire, bro, for reals. Yeah. And actually hearing you perform it and watching you perform it for the town,
that's dope.
It's an experience.
Thank you,
definitely
man.
is an experience. And I tell everybody, if you have Danny B coming to your town, you have to pop to the show, because this young cat here is a real performer. And I'm telling you, performer,
thank you, man.
You could be a rapper, you could be whatever, but performing and captivating the audience attention is a task.
Thank you, man.
And you well managed that, bro, for real.
I tried, man. Like, I've performed in different venues, I was I was kind of reminiscing about this time when I first started and kind of just getting my, just kind of getting over that shyness of performing in front of people. I was performing at this UFC gym, and people
in Salinas?
No, in Sunnyvale.
Oh, in Sunnyvale.
In Sunnyvale. So my friend was like, "Oh, come do this event." So he was just spinning music for the people that were working out, and at the time it was COVID. So
COVID, Lord.
Yeah, people were exercising outside, and just to get rid of those jitters of performing, I was performing for people that were working out. They were just like, I don't want to hear nobody work. Like, I don't want to hear nobody singing. Like, they're just trying to get their workout in. So coming from that background, it just, helped me build the confidence to perform in situations like the brewery, where maybe it's not that many people, or maybe those people didn't necessarily come to turn up. They just wanted to come check out the pop-up. I mean, some people didn't even know me prior, to being there. So it was like, all right, well,
bro, but it doesn't matter, bro. If you have 5 people, have 1,000. If you doing that for a small crew, it's gonna be the same as doing it for 1,000 people. You know 100%. What I'm saying? So that's genuine love for what you're doing and for the fans. You know what I'm saying?
100%. So it was just like, I feel like I've built the confidence to try to make the crowd, mine.
Right.
Like, how am I going to captivate your attention, and how am I going to make it worth your while? I was also just thinking about this one time I was performing I got booked to perform at this private event for doctors one time, or like, just like not doctors necessarily, but like, it's like a clinic, and they had doctors and nurses and all that stuff. And there was like one speaker, and the mic was like so bad. So I was just like, I still think about that moment like every time before I go into a performance. I'm like, there's no way this is gonna be worse than this. Like, think about like
you always got one. You always get one of those, man.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I got paid good, but I'm just like, I'm gonna think about that time and just know that I had to do that. So there's no way, like I can't give you guys a good show.
When you say East Lake,
I say, boy.
Exactly. It's like, bro, you had us going on for real. I was like, man, I like it. I like that, man. You got a motto. You got, it's a real grit for reals. I like it. So tell me more about that 45-day challenge. How was that like?
So the 45-day challenge was a really dope. It was kind of what I would consider another era, shortly after the Lost and Found and then the East Lake Boy. I kind of reached a point where, as an artist, especially when you're like an up and coming artist, you might have like a really big project or a really big video and it does really well, but I think the buzz from that, us being us, since we don't have like a team, I feel like it really lasts about a week or two. And I think even for the most mainstream artists, unless you have like a team who's constantly running ads on these things, it's always going to be in people's faces. Like you drop an album and people are going to remember that for 6 months because they're running ads and these promotional things that keep people like invested constantly. So being an independent artist, I had to look for a way to, stay in people's faces, and constantly find new ways to promote my music while also promoting my brand. So that's when I got the idea of doing the 45 days. It was the last 45 days, the last working 45 days of the year of, I think it's 2023, right? So at the time, it was a really cool experience because I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I can't do this by myself. So what I did is I kind of set up this vlog kind of fashion of a video. I did a call response for people that do, videography, photography, or graphic design. I was just like, look, anyone in the Watsonville area or the 831 generally who wants to make content, come join me and come, take a ride with me for these 45 days. And
I saw that.
Yeah.
You was kind of shocked, huh, after the fact.
No, I was shocked. I put it out there and I had like my DMs were full. Obviously I had to weed it out and see who was really about it and who was not. But, I was shocked to see how quick the community was ready to, come and help support me.
Right.
And help me push my cause. So it was a really cool experience at the time. I was working heavy with this Josue, who does the flower pot right now.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how we met through the 45 days.
Yeah.
My homie Frankie, who shot my most recent video, The Underdog versus the World.
Oh, we're going to talk about that too. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah, and some other guys, some people were in and out of the whole like experience of the 45 days. Some guys from the Underdogs, but ultimately it was Josue and Francisco or Frankie, the guy that shoots my stuff now. We, spent a lot of days together trying to come up with content ideas. And, some content went like super viral. Like I did a video with Josue that got like 500,000 views on TikTok.
Man.
And I think it also hit 300,000 on Instagram. It was like
crazy. The formula, bro.
There was no formula, bro.
It was just random. That's what I don't get about the freaking the what they call that? The algorithm. That's I don't think there's no real freaking algorithm, and all these people that sell, no, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. That's straight bullshit to me. I think so. I don't know. I think it's the consistency.
It might have been the consistency, and pretty much there were certain days where obviously they weren't available. So what it did was it pushed me to figure out how to shoot my content.
Right.
So I was just going out to random places. I set up my tripod. I set up my camera. I set up the autofocus.
My guy.
And I'm just like, all right, let's shoot.
One-man band, bro.
I'm saying, like, as an independent artist, you got to just figure out. You got to take the initiative.
Right.
Right? And you just got to be like, I'm going to do this myself. You got to be accountable for yourself. If you really want this, you can't, force this on anyone. Like, they got to be willing to be about it.
Sure.
So I think it was a really cool experience, I had like 5 guys in my room at one point, like trying to figure out the 45-day like plan. But, only at the end of the day, only 2 guys stuck around. But it was like working with them is how we were able to, build up a plan and build up a couple of concepts for content. And then, some hit and some didn't, but like the ones that hit.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. And after that, it was a really good formula for me to make content, because at the time of the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I not that I don't need them, but I'm like, they're busy. But because of all the content that we shot together, I was like, okay, I kind of have a formula of what works. So I was dropping content like crazy on TikTok in the beginning of the year. And that's when my following was just like, it shot up, as well as with the streams. And then, yeah, the 45 days not only was, super beneficial to promote my music, but super beneficial for me to, in a sense, come up with a formula to create content.
Right. That's dope, man. Yeah. That is so dope, and I really admire you. For 45 straight days doing new content is like hard work. Like, for real, people, hard work.
I'm telling you, there's days where I really wanted to quit, and I literally like,
Bro.
yeah, there was
Tell us about that, because people need to hear that. Because, you know, it's not like every day you wake up, it's freaking roses and flowers, man.
Nah, it's funny because, like, it's crazy because I documented all this. Like, you could see all this on the internet. Like, there was a day, I can't even remember what day it was, but it was a point. So I was shooting, like, this content, and I set it up, this camera on my, like, window. It was, like, on a... it just like mounts onto like windows, right? And I was shooting myself, and I was like, if you're a fan of X, Y, and Z, you might like this song right here. And then I sang the song, and like you can see in the outtakes, I'm like, this shit's corny as fuck. Like I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this shit. Like I'm watching the content myself, and I'm just mad. I'm mad because I'm like, I can't believe I got to do this. Bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, that's what it takes, bro. Yeah. And it's crazy because our pride gets challenged, bro.
100%.
It gets challenged. So if you're like into like, oh man, no, that's freaking hell.
That's cringe.
If you would have stayed with that, exactly. That cringe is like, oh no, fuck this shit. I'm not gonna keep on doing this stuff.
So, and funny enough, that same video that I was so pissed about shooting was one of those ones that just went crazy. And I was just like, I can't believe it.
People, nobody has a real phone, man. You just gotta do it. Get up on that lens, hit record, and do it.
Yeah.
That's it. Bro, so tell me a little bit about this, your latest project with
Our Soul.
Mm-hmm. The Life Lessons 2.
Yeah.
That the video that you guys released.
Yeah.
That was mad crazy. That was some Batman and versus Joker type thing, bro. I was like, damn, this is dope.
That's so dope that you said Joker, because that was also like an inspiration for just that whole visual, honestly. Yeah. The whole inspiration behind that. So, I mean, just generally talking about the life lessons, it was a cool experience, you know. So, like I said, he's the leader, I guess what you would say, of like the underdogs. I mean,
pack.
He started it, you know. That was his whole idea, the concept of the underdog. And at the time, we were making all of this music in his garage. He used to live in Los Baños. And, you know, it was a drive for me having to go all the way out there. So when I would go, we would spend all this time just in his garage. And it was hot. You know, there was no AC. And it was Los Baños during the summer.
I believe you.
We're talking like 100 degrees.
Oh, my God.
I'm over here trying to write my verses and record. And it's
sweating bullets.
Yeah, sweating bullets. The whole thing, though, was an experience. You know, although it was only 6 songs. I mean, there was more, but we cut it down a little bit to just keep it consistent.
Right.
But just kind of putting the songs together. But when we made Underdog versus the World, we already knew, we're just like, damn, this is different, because it was just this crazy. I sampled this this random song I found on YouTube, but I just turned up the distortion and I looped it and I threw in my own drums on it. And it just kind of
breakdown is dope. I was like, damn, that's what's up.
That beat's just super dope. And I really like how generally I don't distort my vocals, but I engineered that song also. It's funny because I took that song to the engineer, but I didn't like that version because it sounded too clean. I liked Underdog versus the World, the one that I engineered, because it just matched the grittiness of the sample.
Like grunginess.
It just, like I like that muddiness in the mix. It worked well for the song.
Yeah.
So, you know, while hearing it, I was just like, damn, I started imagining all these things, you know. I took a lot of inspiration. Initially, the Batman movie, the Batman, the second one. I forgot if that one's Batman Returns or that's Dark Knight. Dark Knight. So if you remember, like, the initial scene, the money heist scene.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I was talking about. I was like, man.
Yeah, that was literally the inspiration. The heist scene where he kind of has the masks and he's getting picked up, and you kind of get the close-up of the clown mask. But in our case, it was the dog mask.
The dogs.
You know? And,
man.
Another movie that was an inspiration for that was... There's this movie called Baby Driver.
Oh, I've seen that movie too.
Yeah.
Dope.
Just like any movie that has a heist scene, you know, where they're about to like rob a bank.
Right.
You know, but the whole concept of it was just, you know, we're underdogs, and in a sense we're robbing the bank, but not necessarily for our own personal use.
Right.
It feels more like,
Bro, what a dope. Y'all gotta go listen to Life's Lessons 2 by Our Soul and Danny V everywhere, because dope music and great visuals, man. Well, we're gonna talk about that offline about the visuals, because that's a whole other gem for itself, bro.
Yeah.
So, man, we're almost done here. Bro, take me to that journey, looking back at Watsonville, to where you are now.
Yeah.
What advice would you give young and aspiring artists who wants to follow a similar path as you have?
Yeah. I would just say, be patient first and foremost. Be consistent, and always find ways to keep the passion alive. No matter what it is, whether it's music or you're like the profession that you're chasing, or just any goal that you have. I think in this day and age, with the internet, it's just easy to get distracted and derailed from your goal or your purpose that you set for yourself. Writing down your goals and keeping yourself accountable for those things. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what's helped me, continue to grow in my field.
That whiteboard.
You see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I know you noticed mine too.
Yeah. Keeping yourself accountable. I think being an independent artist, you don't have a boss. There's no one telling you when the job needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one's keeping you accountable for the deadlines. So it's like, it's easy to think that you're being productive when you're doing something, but sometimes in reality you're not productive. Like it's just you're just kind of convincing yourself that you are.
You're really bullshitting yourself.
So. Yeah. Man. So I would say, just keep yourself accountable, stay consistent, stay patient, and just make sure that the passion never dies out, because I feel like the passion is what's going to drive you and what's going to keep you motivated to keep going forward.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Bro, and there's something very special that I want to implement on each of and every one of my talks, and it's because I'm an advocate for mental health. And I know mental health, it's a big deal in every industry and also among men. But how do you feel that the music industry it can be challenging, right, and demanding? 100%. How do you think mental health actually impacts artists and producers, and how do you protect yourself from your own mental well-being?
I think that, obviously being in this industry, it just comes with pressures, kind of like how I was saying before, when you make a good song or you're popping or whatever, you feel hot and then you're not. I think it's easy to, sometimes not necessarily go through like a depression phase, but just feel unmotivated or feel like there's pressures.
Right.
But me personally speaking, I've gone through it. I've had like my moments of panic attacks or just feeling anxious. But I think the way that I overcame that personally was I started doing like yoga and meditating a little bit. I started doing, actually, I think the thing that helped me most was this thing called, it's hot yoga. So basically it's like you do yoga, but you're doing it in a sauna.
Oh my God.
So it's just like you're doing yoga in like 100-degree like temperatures and you're constantly sweating. But the reason why I liked it, and I think that it helped me, I don't do it anymore because I just do regular yoga like in the morning. That's just how I start my day. But it's really dope experience because it's so hot in there that you're just focused on your breathe, or like your breath.
Right.
I guess so. Like just doing that and realize it kind of just reminds you that it keeps you grounded, but it also reminds you that your breath is kind of what stabilizes you. Like you take a deep breath when you just feel like, obviously everyone has their different ways of coping with, their mental battles and stuff. But for me personally, that was just a way for me to cope with it, realizing that the pressures that you might be dealing with could just be like things that are all in your head.
Right.
You know, you might feel like you're dealing with these things, but really it's just sometimes just a product of your environment, you know,
Right.
being conscious of, you know, what you're surrounding yourself with, you know, what are you intaking, not even just like nutrition wise, but like, what are you watching, you know, like, what are you feeding your brain? Making sure that you change your environment, reading something that's like positive, affirmations, making sure that you're training your mind to think positively. It's more of like a growth mindset, you know,
Right.
treating your brain like a muscle. Just like we're in the studio for however many hours, in order to get better as musicians, we have to train our brains.
Right.
In order to, you know, think the things.
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle. So if you want to get better at definitely having how do you say that, positive. Yo, turn the phone off. Just kidding. Having that positive mindset, you definitely have to put yourself on practice.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I guess you answer all my questions on that. So, bro, give us your info. Give us your shout outs. Who you got to shout out though?
Yeah. So my info, Danny V, on all platforms, and then on all social medias: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. That's Danny V, THATS, Danny V. Shout out. I want to shout out to Irv, my DJ. And my producer, he's been rocking with me. He's been pulling up to everything. I want to say shout out to Frankie, the guy that shot the Underdog versus the World music video. Shout out to Our Soul, Life Lessons 2. Shout out to East Lake.
Yo, East Lake. When he says East Lake, we say, what? That's right. That's right, bro. Thanks for being here,
my
man.
Guy.
I am so happy that you were able to make it today.
Hell yeah.
And people go follow my guy's music and his journey. It's an incredible one.
Thank you, man.
And yo, you're one with the eCast now.
Yeah.
So welcome here. And we're about to hop in the studio and maybe come up with something, but don't just yet. Let's do something real quick. Let's sing here to my boy some happy birthday to you.
Oh, damn.
Happy birthday to you.
That's
happy
crazy.
Birthday, dear Danny.
Damn.
Happy birthday to you.
No way y'all got me a cake,
bro.
That's crazy.
Of course, man. Happy birthday to the guy here, because his birthday was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
man.
I'm about to say it right now. This is one of the best interviews I've ever done right here, man. He brought me an actual cake, bro. Hey,
bro, excited to have you here, and welcome to the family, bro.
Thank you, man. Shout out to Puerto Rico.
Hey,
shout out to Watsonville, though.
Yeah, people. All right, man. So y'all already know what to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Follow us, share the content, like, and comment. All right, so we'll catch you out later. Peace out.
Peace.